In this probably quite short video, I'm going to show you how I make one of my favorite sides of all time. It's pretty popular in a lot of Texas barbecue restaurants, particularly those restaurants that are owned by people with a Mexican heritage, places like Hurtado, Panther City Barbecue, and loads of other places. I've done a video like this before, but this is a much better recipe and a much better considered YouTube video. So I'm going to show you how I make it. And the first thing I'm going to do is get this stainless steel pan onto a medium-high heat. And I'm specifically using stainless steel rather than non-stick. You could use cast iron because we want to get a bit of a char onto some canned corn. So I'm just going to be honest, this is generally how I'm making it if I'm making it for an event, but you don't have to use canned corn. You could get a whole corn on the cob, grill it over some flames on the barbecue, cut the corn off and go from there. Today, we're going to be using canned corn. Get some vegetable oil or some spray oil into our stainless steel and mimic that char using a pretty hot pan. I'm going in with half of this at the moment because I don't want to overcrowd the pan too much, but we want to leave this and not move it too much, just to make sure that we get a nice little bit of charring on this corn. And after a few minutes, this is starting to pop, but we got some really nice charring on a lot of this corn. So we're going to get this stuff out into a bowl and go in with our next batch. Let that char away. And then after no more than 10 minutes, we got some nice charred up corn, kind of replicating what you would get if you were to toss a whole cob onto the grill. So we're just kind of skipping that step, but feel free to get there using a whole cob over some coals, get them nice and charred, get them into a bowl, and you'll be at the same place I am right now, but with a little bit more flavor. So you can put these to the side for now. It's quite useful because you can make this ahead of time before you combine all the ingredients together and actually make up your esquites or Mexican street corn. And then we're just going to prep up some other things. So I've got a jalapeno, which I'm just going to de-seed. Of course, you could just use regular green chili. Then I'm going to do a small dice on this. Some coriander or cilantro, depending on where you're from. Chop that up semi-fine. A couple of garlic cloves, which I'm going to put through my garlic press. Then if you're somewhere that has access to cotija cheese, then use cotija cheese, but here in the UK it's pretty difficult to get hold of, almost impossible. So I like to use just some Parmesan and grate it myself to replicate the funkiness and cheesiness and saltiness that cotija would bring to the table. So I'm going to put it through my box grater. On this side, I have no idea what it's called, but it's the side that gives you like the little crumbles. If you put this through a microplane, I find it to be too fine and a little bit too stringy. So I use this side and it gives you nice little crumbles of cheese, like that pre-crumbled cotija that you can buy. So I'm going to grate up a healthy amount of this. Then we'll take a lime and I'm going to use half of that for juice and then just make up some little segments with the other half. I don't know why these limes are so small, but... And that's pretty much most, if not all, of the prep work done. Some other things that you're going to need are some mayonnaise, some Valentinas hot sauce, ideally, or any hot sauce, some chili powder, and traditionally I've made this with tahini. I'm sure you know the chili lime seasoning, but recently I've been using the snake bite, the Chuds BBQ snake bite. It's nice and spicy. It's a great rub in general, but it has vinegar powder in it, which gives it a really nice tang, a nice zing. So yeah, this has been working really well for me. So I'll drop a link below where you can pick this up in the UK. And then it's just a case of pulling this side together. And to do that, we're gonna go back into our pan that I've just wiped out because it's a little bit charry on the bottom, with some oil, our jalapeno. We're just gonna give this a light cook. Still want it nice and punchy, just to take away that very initial rawness. Immediately followed up with the garlic. Just gonna turn that heat down a little bit. We'll go in with our charred corn. And this smells incredible already. Chili, garlic, burnt corn. Get that tossed around. Really looking to warm this through and slightly cook off the raw vegetables. Then we're going to go in with some chili powder, some Chuds Rub snake bite, some Valentinas hot sauce, the juice of half a lime, coriander or cilantro, and just give that a mix round. That is smelling ridiculously good. Just look at that. That looks incredible. And then from there, we're gonna add in about as much mayonnaise as you would like. I don't like this crazy creamy, so I'm gonna add a little bit in, give it a stir, kind of watch what happens to the consistency of this. You can have it as creamy or as dry as you want, but once we've got it to kind of roughly where we want it, I think maybe I'll go with a little bit more. And this would be far easier if I used a higher sided pan, but I think that's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna add in our Parmesan or cotija and gonna leave behind just enough for dusting the top of this, or dusting as many portions as you plan on serving. And we're just gonna melt this cheese through into the mayonnaise. And the key thing here is keeping it on a low enough heat that you don't split the mayonnaise, because if that happens, you're just gonna end up with corn in oil, and it's not gonna be nice at all. It's gonna be pretty disgusting, to be honest. I've done it, it's not very nice. A little bit more mayonnaise. Just trying to slowly work up so I don't overshoot it and have it too creamy. Taste for salt. Delicious. So while that's just continuing to keep warm and melt that cheese, we're going to get together a little serving pot. And as I like to do with these types of videos, I'm going to serve it up in the kind of pot that I would serve it if I was doing a class or a pop-up or something like that. So I'm going to get a deli pot, grab a couple of bowls, and bear with me because normally I wouldn't be doing just one of these. So if this seems like a waste, it normally isn't. And I'll reuse some of this stuff. So I'm going to go down with some Valentinas, some of that snake bite. And if you were using tahini, you could just buy the specific margarita rimmer thing that they do. And I first saw Don at Big Don's in Perth do this, and it always looks so good, so I'm gonna replicate it. I'm gonna go in and just get the top of our pot covered, and then we're gonna go into our snake bite. Carefully get our corn in there. Oops. Hit that with a little dusting of our chili powder, some of our crumbled Parmesan, or even better if you have it, cotija. A little hurtado style squiggle of Valentinas. I like to dust that again with the cheese. Top that with a little jalapeno, a wedge of lime, a few sprigs of coriander. And you've got yourself not only an incredible looking pot of Esquites or Mexican street corn, but a really, really delicious little side that you can add to your menu pretty cheaply, to be honest, with not that much effort. That honestly took me about 25 minutes. So let's dig in. Please ignore the mess behind me. It's one of those videos. That looks incredible. And believe it or not, it tastes better than it looks as well. That is absolutely ridiculous. Creamy, cheesy, spicy, coriandery. And what's crazy is the char from the pan is coming through. Tastes like burnt corn, but in a good way. And honestly, I'm really not missing the tahini. The snake bite works perfectly. The jalapeno's coming through. The garlic's definitely coming through. And yeah, definitely recommend not cooking that off too much. You kind of almost want it semi-raw. Yeah, absolutely outrageous recipe for the time it takes, for the price of it as well. Corn doesn't cost a lot. Visually, it looks great. It tastes even better. And I'm not gonna lie, this tastes better than some of those street corns that I've had in those Texas barbecue restaurants that I mentioned earlier. Not those specific ones, but I've had some that just tasted like corn and mayo. This is a winner. There's not going to be a recipe as such. I think this is really just about making it your own. You've got all the ingredients. You can make it, adapt it, change it to your preferences. Less spicy, more garlic, less garlic. More cheese, less cheese, all that kind of stuff. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate it. It really, really helps me out. And if you decide to go away and make this, or if this inspires you to make it, please definitely let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for another video.